Hi and welcome to DEPHEMEREMBER, your daily ephemera inspiration in December. My name is Luisa Heinzel and this daily December series is a collaboration with 49 Dragonflies. We are going to show you some easy ways to make your own junk journal ephemera out of basic supplies. Today's prompt is staple and tuck spot. I want to start with a question for you today. The question is, how many patients have you brought with you to watch this video? I'm really sorry, but when I came to this idea, it was really early in the morning, and when I recorded this video, I thought, okay, it will be a really hard job for some people to do this, but I wanted to show you my idea because I think it's something that, I have never seen that in a junk journal before or in any tutorial in our junk journal community. So I thought I would like to try it, but I have to say you need much patience to do this thing what I want to do here today. First of all, I thought I need some tuck spots as a base for this idea. So I have cut some triangles, as you can see here, out of some scrapbooking paper. This is a little bit thicker paper, as you perhaps know. This scrapbooking paper is, a little bit thicker. That's a good idea because we want to have a sturdy tuck spot in the end that we can glue on two sides, here and here. Glue it to our junk journal page, and then we have something where we can tuck something behind. So that's the sense of a tuck spot. I know sense is not the right word. You know what I mean. So, of course, you can use any other shape for your tuck spot. I like those triangles, and for this arrangement that I want to do today, it's a good shape. Then I have my stapler here, and normally, to combine tuck spot and stapler is not so hard. When you have your tuck spot ready and you want to put it in your junk journal, of course you can staple it and then it's there. And this task from today's prompt would be fulfilled. But I have my tuck spots loose here on my table. And of course I want to find some kind of an outstanding way to use these staples. So I will not use my stapler itself, but I want to use these little things that are inside these staples. I'm always struggling with these words because that's a little bit strange for me. In German it's so different, and sometimes in English these words are so easy, but I can't remember them or bring them over my lips. So I took the staples out of the stapler. And now I'm trying to get them apart. This looks a little bit, difficult at the beginning, but it's really easy, as you can see here. You can just take such a tool and break them apart. You could also do that with your fingernail because it's so easy, but of course, it would be not so good for your fingernail. I mean, if you have nail polish or whatever, you don't want to destroy that. So I'm using this tool here to get them apart. We will need a lot of these, especially if you perhaps want to make more of these tuck spot things with this idea. You can prepare a lot of these so that you later on have them at hand. If you perhaps have some that are sticking together, so I mean if you break two of these things from this row, it's no problem. You can easily take them apart so that you have the single staples on your table. And you should prepare this before you start with the next steps. I mean, you have to break them apart and lay them to your table so that you have them at hand, because the next steps we have to do a little bit faster. I will explain in a second why. As a base to glue these staples, I have this scrapbooking paper. This is, as I said, a little bit thicker paper. And you need a paper for this thing that doesn't get waves when it gets wet, because in the next step I would like to use some gesso, and you know, this gesso or also glue is wet, and you need a really sturdy paper, otherwise this will not work. It has to stay really flat on your table for the whole time. This is medium strong, this paper, I would say. Perhaps it would have been better to take a much stronger paper, like really heavy watercolor paper, for example. That would also work. This pattern here is not important. I'm only showing you this here on this pattern side of the paper so that you can see it better, what I'm doing here, because now I'm using white gesso, and you know, white on white would be really hard to see. So you can also use, yeah, whatever you want. A white paper with white gesso would be totally fine, because then everything will be really white and you won't see this pattern of the scrapbooking paper through the gesso. I'm putting a little bit of gesso here to my scrapbooking paper, and now I'm also having my you know, these how is that called? It's tweezers. The word that I've searched was tweezers. Make sure that you have your tweezers at hand, so that you can make sure that you have everything, because now I'm spreading this gesso around a little bit with my paintbrush, and of course this begins to dry immediately, and you want to have a coat of gesso that's not too thin, because otherwise it would dry too fast, but it shall also not be too thick. It has to be thinner than the staples are thick. Does that make sense? So that they can stick on the surface but don't go into the gesso, otherwise you wouldn't see them in the end. So that will make sense in a second when you see what I'm doing. If you have a colored paper or this pattern paper, make sure that the gesso covers this pattern, otherwise that will look some kind of strange in the end. And now I'm taking one of my staples and I'm placing this here relatively to the middle of this circle. And I'm taking the staples all in the same direction. As you can see, these little noses on the right and the left side are looking away from me. And I'm taking all of these staples in the same way so that I can easily and especially fast put them to my white gesso so that they can stick there. The reason for the gesso is only that these staples stick to my paper and don't move. Here you can see in the middle the left nose is meeting, and on the right the left noses are meeting, and on the right side the right nose of the first staple touches the edge of the next one. I think if you do that for the first time, you will immediately see how that will work. It's really, really easy. So I'm putting these all together. And when you come to the end of this thing, I mean, you see, now I have to put in the last staple thingy. That seems to be not enough space there. But please believe me, it is enough space. It's a little bit tricky to get that inside there. But as I said, you need some patience for this. But this will look really cool and really special in the end. So it's really worth it to try that. And the important thing is that you have this little star here in the middle. If you look at this while you are placing the single staples, you can't make any mistake. You have these little edges here on the outside. I mean, the staples have to build a close frame around this, but if you do that, it's so easy. I mean, you can also try that out without gesso for practicing this, and just lay these things in the right order to your table if you want, and then later on glue them. That would also be a possibility, just to try that out, how this whole thing works. Okay, so since we have every single staple thingy in the right place, we have to dry this really carefully. I take my heat gun for drying this, and I'm placing it directly over this ornament and dry it really carefully. The paper might get a little bit wavy, but when it gets cold, it will be flat again. So now I have this thing here, and when you now shake it a little bit like this, you can see these staples are sticking on this paper really well with the gesso. But we want to put this into a junk journal, and we are working in our junk journals, and we are flipping the pages, and perhaps you have your hand over this, and I don't want to fall these things off from my page. So I do a second thing to make this more secure. I'm taking some Mod Podge. In this case, it's this antique Mod Podge that dries a little bit more vintage in this vanilla, color. And I'm going over this with my paintbrush and applying a thin layer of this Mod Podge. And now I'm showing you a little trick. So I do it like I will not do it in reality so that you can see it. If you just brush over this, you will get this little, things here, this little sips of glue, and you don't want that. You want to see these staples really clearly. So I like to take my brush and just dip over this thing. That's no problem. You can just, you can press medium, you can take medium pressure to do this. Sorry. But you want to have a really thin coat so that you still can see the staples really clearly. You don't want to have a mess of glue on top of this. This Mod Podge dries really matte, and in this vintage style, as I said, that makes those staples also a little bit matte. I really like that because I'm not this, glitter fan in my junk journals. So if you want to have this shiny and really, in this silver shiny look, then of course you can also take a clear but shiny finish, so not matte. But I think if you like that, you have something like that at home to do that. I'm drying this again. And now this is really, really sturdy and nothing can fall apart, even if I put this into my junk journal and I'm working in my junk journal. Now I would like to decorate this a little bit. And if you know my channel, you know I'm not the fan of decorating something too much or too overloaded. So I'm trying to make a really, small decoration, but I want to have this piece, the finished piece, to be an eye catcher in my junk journal. I am taking this sequin, I hope that's the right word, and I'm placing this directly to the middle with a little bit of glue, and here I tried to get it really into the middle. This ornament is really symmetric, and it would look really strange if this sequin thing is not directly in the middle. You can also take any other tiny decoration piece that you have at hand. You could also punch a really tiny circle out of some paper or whatever and place that into the middle, or you could also leave it as it is, of course. Then I have these little guys here. These are just some really tiny pearls, and I want to place some of them to this little ornament. I think I would like to take one for the middle to put it on top of this sequin. But I think this one you can't really see, so it's really hard to show that in the camera. In reality, this looks way more elegant. I had a little problem to film this. The color of these pearls is a little bit strange, so you can't see it so well. But I think it's also a good idea to take another color than this sequin below is. I mean, that it's not so matchy-matchy. And this little thing I would also like to glue with a little bit of glue. I definitely have the wrong glue bottle here. I had too much glue here on my piece. So yeah, make sure that you have a really tiny amount of glue there and that it's a glue that dries clear so that you don't see this in the end. So yeah, don't touch this when you have it in the right place so that it can dry there completely. And now, of course, we can also decorate this frame. One possibility would be to put some tinier pearls around the outside, or like I did it here with this piece that I've tried yesterday, you can also put them to the inside, like I did it here. Also, 3 tiny pearls in the very middle would look really cute. So let me try to make this a little bit different than the first one so that we can see the difference. I want to show you different possibilities of how of doing this. If you don't have such pearls, of course, you could use any other tiny thing that you have. Even some small seeds would also look really cute on this embellishment thingy, I think. So I'm just trying out how this can work, and then I will glue these there to my ornament. When this is dry, it looks like this, and as I said, my camera can't catch the colors. It's really strange. It looks really dark, but in reality it looks really shiny and really elegant, like a really Christmassy ornament. So I will show you a photo here, hoping that you can see the colors a little bit better than in my camera frame. Please excuse this, but I don't know what this was, that my camera made such strange things. And here you can see what happens if you make a layer of gesso in the very beginning that's too thin. Can you see these gray things that are coming through the white gesso? That's because my layer was too thin and my paper was not white. I wanted to show you this because, I don't want you to make the same mistakes as I made here. I don't like this so much, so make sure that the paper is white, or you have enough gesso, perhaps also 2 layers of gesso. So first layer dried and then the second layer on top, and then place the staples to stick them there. I think that looks not so nice. The second one turned out way better. And now, as you can see on the first one that I've already cut out, I want to make a shadow around this ornament. I think it looks really cool if the inner part of this ornament is white or in this vanilla color like the second one, and the outside is black or gray or something like that. For this, I'm taking a water-soluble crayon and a water brush, and first of all I'm going around this really randomly, but in a light way, so that I get a light gray around this ornament. By the way, here is the next letter for the giveaway, so please write that down. If you don't know anything about the giveaway yet, please check out the info box. There are all the informations. You can still join this giveaway and win a really cool prize, I think. Okay, so when we have this, and this is gray all around, then I'm drying that again with my heat gun to make this, stay there. And then I'm taking my brush again and also the crayon again, and I'm going around this ornament for a second time, but now, as you can perhaps see, these movements that I'm making are really close to this ornament. I want to have a really dark, not crisp, but dark frame around this ornament that is touching the ornament so that it looks really three-dimensional. And the plan is to put those ornaments to the tuck spots like this, and that's also the reason why I've chosen a triangle, because I think this circle on a triangle looks really nice. And of course now you can also choose the colors for your tuck spot so that they match this ornament really well. This one that I'm just cutting out, I made with this antique Mod Podge, as I said. That dries really vintage, so I've decided to use this brownish colored scrapbooking paper. As you can see, that matches really well. And the right one, this ornament that I made yesterday, is a little bit colder in its colors. And so I've chosen a cooler scrapbooking paper color as well. And I think you can see the difference here. It's really interesting to see that, how different that comes out. And when I saw this directly on the tuck spot and compared it with the other one that I just made, I didn't like the decoration of the right one. So as you can see, the right one looks like a wheel of a bicycle, not like an ornament. So a Christmas ornament, I mean. So I've decided that I want to add some more pearls to make it a more matchy to the other one, and also a little bit more elegant and more Christmas ornament looking. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so of course you can do that like you want it and like you prefer it. And now I would like to glue this to this tuck spot, but I want to add two more, finishing touches, or how can I say that? So first of all, I would like to distress the edges a little bit. I'm taking this tool. You can also take some scissors for this step and just rubbing over the edges to make it look a little bit more grungy. And here is the next letter for the giveaway. As I said, all the informations are down below in the description box if you are not knowing what I'm talking about here. And when I went all around with this distressing tool, I distressed the edges additionally with some vintage photo ink. I think especially for the right one, it makes much sense because it looks way more vintage and way more interesting with this distressed edges. You can do that with a finger sponge or this brush that I have here. If you don't have distress ink, you could also use some watercolor for this step. That would also work. It would look a little bit different, but it will work, and it will also look really beautiful. Then I'm taking this piece of lace because I want some layering here on my tuck spot. And I think that looks really cute, like a Christmas wreath is laying on a table with a really vintage tablecloth. So that was my idea behind this. And I also thought about these typically Austrian what is this word? Okay, so the translator says it's hut. I mean, these mountain huts. Does that make sense to you? where some people here in Austria living, or also the normal houses of the Austrian people, are often in this hut style. And this reminds me totally to table decoration here in Austria, even if the colors are perhaps not totally right, but yeah, perhaps that makes sense to you. And here is the next letter for the giveaway. Please write that down. Perhaps you already have an imagination how this sentence will be in the end that you can use to enter the giveaway. I'm really excited about this giveaway, by the way. Okay, so let's glue the second one here as well. And now I would say we have two really interesting tuck spots that we can use to put into our junk journals. And I would say, yeah, this task is fulfilled, isn't it? So I'm really, really excited what Barbara will do today with this prompt from our DEPHEMEREMBER prompt list. You can see her version of this prompt on her channel today. The link is down below in the description box, as always. And if you want to have the list, and perhaps you are new to this series, then you can find the link to download the prompt list in the description box as well. I would be really happy to see some of your own tuck spot creations on, for example, Instagram or other social media. If you would like to post that, please use hashtag DEPHEMEREMBER so that we can find your posts much easier. That would be really, really nice. So hopefully we will see tomorrow. Stay creative, stay tuned in this Daily December series. And yeah, have a great time doing this idea. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.